Welcome back. Now then, building a Vulcan bomber. I wanted to build this for quite some time. I think it's a very impressive looking aeroplane. Not easy to get hold of. Well, they are easy to get hold of. It's getting hold of the right one, and this is the I just basically had to buy the one that I could get, and this is the black book version, which is an Operation Black Book. It was the one that was used during the Falklands campaign, and the Vulcan flew many thousands of miles to bomb Port Stanley Airport, as far as I know. So it's a nice kit so far, but I'm going to do it a little bit different. So I'm not going to do it on the ground, I'm going to do it in flight. I think that the airplane looks very impressive in flight, and I also don't like building undercarriages on 1/72 scale models, particularly on this one. It looks really, I don't know, spindly and stuff. And also, when I can find the canopy, I'll show you the canopy when I can find it. You can't see inside the cockpit at all. I have actually started building the fuselage just to demonstrate this. This is the front end of the fuselage. When you put the canopy on, and then you've got tiny little windows and stuff on the doors, you can't see hardly anything in there, and it has got a lot of detail in it, which is completely pointless in my opinion. But so basically what I'm going to do is black out the windows from the inside. So I've seen someone else do that on a Victor model build, and it looked really impressive. So you paint it black on the inside and you get nice shiny glossy windows on the outside, and that'll do for me. Thought I'd lost it then. Right, this is the canopy. Now I'm sure people that are familiar with Vulcan bombers, that the actual most of it's painted, and the only bit that you can see is these round windows at the side here. There's two of them, and then you've got the windows at the front, and that's it. You can't see anymore. And when the model's in flight, all the covers are shut, so you can't see anything in the cockpit at all. It's whereas there's lots of detail in there. You get all the seats and everything, all the control, instrument panel, etc. Foot pedals, I think. Mental. I don't understand why they've done it. Side consoles, ladders, seats at the back for the crew at the back. All that business. And I don't see the point, because you cannot see any of that at all when you got this canopy on. If you really wanted to be picky, you could maybe look through the side window and see the top of a headrest of a seat. But that's it. Now I watched a guy build a nice Victor on YouTube, and he blacked out the windows because that's the same situation. You can't see in there either. And all he did was paint in here black, which blacks out the windows and gives a very nice gloss finish on the outside. So that's what I'm going to do with this. So all this construction here, it needs this putting in to give it integrity and strength to the front end of the fuselage. And this is a rather nice front pod where you can put loads of nose weight in it, so it sits on its nose wheel if you put it in. But other than that, it doesn't do anything. So what I've done, as if by magic, I've already built this bit. So this is the nose of the Vulcan bomber. It fits together reasonably well. This part at the bottom doesn't fit very well until you chop away a load of the bits inside there to make it fit. And all the glass, there's two windows in this. There's one there, there's one there, and then there's one at the bottom there. And what I've done, I've painted in those black, so they're just blacked out. I'll mask those off when I paint it. And this is the canopy that fits on there, like so. It fits on quite well actually. It fits really well actually. I'll zoom in a little bit. So there we have the canopy. So if that was completely clear and open, yes, you could see quite a bit in there, but you can't at all. So it's getting blacked out, and I didn't have to bother painting anything or building anything inside there at all, which is great. So that's just like a big bullet, isn't it? That's the front of the nose done. That's dead easy. Excuse me. So then we move on to, there's an awful lot of plastic in this kit. The box is big. I can't put it on the video because it's too big to show it. But once you've built the nose, then you move on to the bomb bay. Now the bomb bay I do want to show, so I'm going to have it so you can see inside the bomb bay mat, and you can see it's 21 bombs that it carries. It's 21,000 pounds worth of bombs. It's quite impressive really, and it's quite a nice structure, and I have started it. This is the internal structure, and it's built up with these ribby parts, and that's one of them there. Now these do need building nicely, because this is the inside of the bomb bay when you look at it from underneath. and all the bombs attached to this part here, and all of this inside here, it says is satin white, which I think he's been a bit optimistic myself, because I've seen a Vulcan bomber at Cosford and you can walk underneath it and look in the bomb bay. I've never seen such a messy, complicated arrangement of stuff in a bomb. Well, I have, but how you'd model it in reality to make it look like that, I do not know. It certainly doesn't look white, but it looks like a dirty, creamy mess, I think. But then again, it is a museum aircraft and it's probably been around a bit. But on pictures, I don't see them being that colour. But I'm going to do it like that. I'm going to do it white. So it's going to get painted white inside this bomb bay, and then it'll get panel lined a little bit, and then picked out and stuff. I might even paint it black first and then paint it white. We'll see. But you've got to be quite. This bit is a bit of detail that has to be paid attention to quite well. So you've got these internal rib structures here, which I'm not going to show building because it's boring, isn't it? But when it's assembled, I'm going to paint it. I might actually paint some of it before I put the rest of it in. I don't know, I haven't decided yet. And what you do, you build this structure. It's very clever as this kit. I've got to say, anybody that's wanted to build and go for it, it's like building a big Lego set. There's loads of plastic in it, and you're just gluing bits together constantly to the point where you can eventually paint it. But it's like an internal structure that gives it strength and stuff. And then this arrangement goes inside the lower wing halves, and you can put the lower. These are the actual covers that go inside the undercarriage doors. You put those in while at this point if you're going to have it up. So you've got options for it in flight or not in flight, or in flight in this case. And then this structure, which is this structure here, kind of creates the jig for all the wings and stuff to go together. It's quite a nice thing. It is quite big. Well, it's big for a plastic kit. It's not big for an aeroplane. But I'm quite looking forward to getting to the point where it's all together and I can start painting it, because how it's painted and how it's displayed is what's going to make this model. How it's painted won't make any model, in it. But I have an idea for displaying this. What I want to do is put a metal rod at the back end of it, where there's like a, I don't know what to call it. The back end of the plane is going to have a rod down the middle of it. I'm going to have it so you can rotate the whole model, so you can see underneath it and see in the top. I don't know, I want to make a stand dip, but that's how it's going to be. And then you've got all this stuff here for making all the air intakes for the engines and stuff. You don't have to do that page because that's for the undercarriage bays. Don't need to worry about all that stuff. But you do have to do all these, and it's very cleverly numbered. Everything on this kit has a number on it, so you can't get anything wrong. It's very clever, but it takes a bit of time. And I don't want to film making all these very nauseating pieces up. These are little templates for the how you paint the air intakes, because obviously some of the air intakes white and then some of it's green. So there's quite a lot to those, and I'm not sure how I'm going to paint or build these yet, so that'll be on video probably. And then you end up with this beautiful delta winged beast of an aeroplane, and you just plug the nose on the front. It doesn't fit. It fits alright, does that? I have test fitted it onto the pieces of wing and stuff, and it's not so bad. But I think it's one of these where you get the thing together as a basic structure and then start filling and sanding and messing with it until you're happy with it, and then you can start priming it and painting it. A lot of parts though in the engines and engine nacelles and everything. Not quite sure I'm going to tackle these yet. I haven't looked at them or studied them yet, but they will need some work to make them look convincing. And then it's just covers and bits of railing and stuff and that. There's not a right lot to it in that respect. So it just goes on and on, flaps and ailerons and everything. Of which most can be fitted before it's painted, I think. Undercarriage, don't have to worry about that. Undercarriage, don't have to worry about that. And then you've got the beautiful bombs, and this is the bit that's going to make the model, I think. How this is arranged now, it looks inside there. It's going to be like the focus point when you flip it over. So there we are, that's how the Vulcan's going to go. I'm not going to bother with these external stalls at all. Pitot tube at the front is going to be interesting. No, it's not a pitot tube, it's a refueling probe, is that, I think? I'm not sure. Anyway, so there we are, that's the Vulcan bomber. So footage to follow, and basically it's not about building gluing it all together, because it's just not really that interesting. So I'm going to get it to the point where I can paint this bit at least, and then we'll come back. Okay, got got the basic structure done, and that's the view from this side, obviously the side we're going to see for the bomb bay. I haven't painted anything yet. I've been gluing bits to this thing for quite some time now. Really impressed with how it's designed. It's not a fancy kit, but it's well engineered in the respect that they've put a lot of thought into how it's built and structured and everything. Quite like it, and it's pretty solid now. It's just quite a solid structure, is that. So the next stage for this is to build air intakes, and there's quite a lot to those, and the nozzles at the back. You can't do anything. You can't, till all that's sorted out, you can't put the top of the wings on. Yeah, I like it. But this video is mainly going to be about how I'm going to paint it, really, and I'm going to mount it and display it, because it's going to need something from the back end. So I'm going to start building the exhaust nozzles. So I'll be back in a bit. Okay, I'm just working on the air intakes, which I don't know, they're not an easy thing to get right, really. In the plan you get a little template that you're supposed to put inside here, and that's the painting demarcation line, if you like. So it's got camo inside this front edge here, but there's no way on earth you can fill these, paint them and do that. It's just it's going to have to be done a different way. And then when you join the two halves together, you get horrendous seam lines right down the insides of them, especially on that edge there, which shows quite a lot when it's in the model. So it all needs, I don't know, it needs quite a lot of filling, does this. It's one of the most fiddly bits of the model, I think. But, especially when you get the actual, I've seen some other builds on this where there's another part that fits onto here that's quite tricky as well. So I'm working on this. I actually did paint them just to see how it went, but they look horrendous. I don't like them. So I'm going to have to join them and then fill them afterwards with something. So I'm not sure what that is yet, but I'll come back when I've filled those up. I'll just try and get a bit closer on that, so you can see what I mean. It doesn't matter how much you paint that, it's still going to show quite badly. And it is an important part of the model, really. It's quite a nice part of the build, is this, you know, if it looks right, it needs some attention to make it look right, if you like. It's a difference in a shoddy build and a good one, so it needs to be done properly. So I might have to make some custom made sanding sticks and stuff, and we'll see how it goes. I'll be back when I've got them joined. Okay, progress has been made. Fitted the bomb bay components. I've sprayed them white, which is good enough. That's alright, quite happy with that. And I've built the top. It shows to join the two wing halves together. It's quite tricky. It's not tricky, but it's a big, two big pieces of plastic, is that, and they fit okay, but they need a little bit of filler in places and things. So that's the inside of the bomb bay when that bit's fitted onto there. So that's gone alright, and it all fits together quite nicely. Now what I've been working on is these things. Now these take a lot of time. These are the air intakes, comprising of two pieces, the top half, the bottom half, and then there's this filler piece at the front. Now it shows to fit that piece after this is installed into the fuselage and the wing halves are together, but I think personally that they're better done like this, because it has to blend in really well there. They're a bit of a time-consuming piece, these. It depends how good you want it to be, I suppose, but there's a massive seam line right down the middle there, which shows quite a lot, and then there's joins where the little interactive pieces are at the fronts there, and I think these need to be done well. I think they're quite a prominent part of the aircraft that you can see, so I'm spending a lot of time sanding them up, and I've had to use various tools. I mean, little files. I've made my own little sanding pads that'll fit in these slots. You know, gluing sandpaper to get into there and sand that as well. So it is a time-consuming job. I've probably spent a good half a day just getting these something like, but they're worth it. They do fit in the model quite well. So I'm still working on these. So these have to be painted white, satin white, and then the hard part. They do provide little masks that they don't work, they're useless. The hard part's going to be painting inside part of this part here with the camo. I've seen a few people do these, and there's different ways of doing it, so I'm not going to stress about that at the minute. I'll worry about that when it comes to actually painting the camo. But it's doable. I might consider masking them before I fit them in the model though, because it's just easier. So the next job is to get these primed up and then get them painted. So that's the next job. I've also tidied up the cockpit, or the front half of the aircraft, and it's sanded up quite nice. It needed a little tiny bits of filler, which I haven't done yet. But it's alright, it's quite enjoying this model so far. I have decided to keep it out of the box colour scheme wise, which from what I can gather is going to be quite matte. It's quite a matte finish, and it's an active aircraft. It's not a museum piece, is it, like an Amley build? So shock horror, sit down a minute, I'm going to weather this a little bit. It's not my style, is it? But I need to get on with this at some point, so watch this space. Okay, I'm just developing a way of mounting the actual aircraft onto a stand. Now this is the bit at the back of the aircraft which protrudes. It basically goes here, obviously. So what I'm doing, I'm thinking of putting some sort of, it might be an acrylic rod, yeah, if it's strong enough. It might be. If not, it'll have to be something a bit more sturdy than that. But it'll be a base, some sort of base like this, with either a rod coming up it that's curved, or it'll have a vertical mount and then a rod coming vertical straight out the back. I don't know yet. We'll have to see how it goes strength wise and how much the model weighs and everything else. So what I'm doing, I'm using a bit of aluminium tubing, which is this stuff, which is an old Arrow from a different life. So the inside diameter is, it's give or take, I think it's something like 7mm or something like that. I can't remember. Let's just zero it off. So it's near as diameter 7. I can just turn down whatever's going in there. But it's a nice shape to suit the back end of this, because if you look at the actual this poddy bit, it's got a cut, like a circle cut there. I can cut that, which I've done that on that one, and then that fits in there just nice. So I'm just cutting these off at the back. This is the only damage it's going to do to the aesthetics of the model. So we trim that off the back there. It needs to be reasonably strong, because it'll just flop about if it's not. So that's the end there. And I've made a plastic card disc. It's just out of 1.5mm black plastic card, and that fits in there just nice as well. So the idea is tube there, that fits just there like that. And there we are. Not falling out of the model, not glued in. Nothing's glued in. But yeah, that's the mounting point it's going to have there. I'll make it look tidier and neater than that. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to build this thing up, and I'll come back to you. Okay, that's the tail poddy bit done with the tube down the middle. It's going to be dead useful as well, because when I paint it I can just put paintbrushes up the back end of it and hold it. The idea is when it's on the stand as well, is that whatever it's on, you can rotate the whole model like this, and so you can see the bottom of it as well as the top, which is quite nice. So next bit, air intakes. Yeah, I can finally fit these things. They're not too bad. Quite happy with them actually. I've been looking at again at colour schemes for this model, and the one that has camoed all round. The camoed inside here as well, which would make my life considerably. It would make it a lot easier to paint. But I suppose that's not an excuse to do it. But I haven't written that off yet. That idea, I might do that. We'll see. I'd have to get some decals to suit the model, of course. But it's not much difference in decals. I mean, the handles and everything are the same. It's just the lettering on the side, which I could probably make myself. It's just these little squadron decals and things, you know, little fin flashes and stuff that I can't make. So anyway, these just basically glue in there like that, which are quite a good fit actually, they're not bad. So basically they glue in there and then they blend in here, so it'll need some attention. Just sorry, I can't go off camera. That needs a bit of attention there where they blend in, and obviously where they meet the leading edges they'll need sanding and polishing up and stuff anyway. So just going to get those glued in and then we'll move on to the next stage. Okay, I've just got some paint drying, so I thought I'd have a play with this. This is a Rembrandt pastel. I do a lot of painting and stuff like this, and I've had these ages. This is an ochre one, like a soft pastel, artist quality. It's good stuff, is this. So I've powdered some up and I'm just doing inside the Bombay. I'm going to throw up a picture of a Bombay. They're nothing like Airfix says paint them satin white. Yeah, they're not satin white. Well, they maybe were when they were originally made, but they certainly don't stay like it for very long. It's not a very nice looking environment, if you like. I'm sure the bombers don't mind, but they're not white, so I'm doing it. I can't use panel liner or anything or a wash on this because I've done them with like quite shiny gloss. Nothing sticks to it. This stuff does. So I'm just weathering these, if you like. It's quite nice stuff actually. I'm just doing it now because I could do this at any point really, but I'll give it a go. It's working quite nice actually. It's giving that nice grimy sort of brown look, which I'm going to throw, as I say, I've put a picture up of it now, so it should look a bit more realistic. Okay, painted inside the Bombay, so we can now join this part to this part. Not decided quite how to do it yet. I'll try and zoom out a big model in it. Right, yeah, just kind of, there's not right lot to it really. That bit has to kind of clip into the nose there. But other than that, it does fit remarkably well. I'm not going to try and glue it down all in one go though, I don't think. It does need a bit of encouragement in places. So I'm not going to do it on video because it's too messy really. So I'll get that joined up and I'll be back. Okay, wing house are joined up. No drama at all, it was dead easy actually. What I did to actually join it, if you look down the back end of there, this bulkhead here and this bulkhead here, I dropped in some super glue gel or cyano gel into there and then held it quite tight and then just activated it and it went off quite quickly, which kind of clamped that part together. And I did the same at the front and dropped a set of that down there into that gap there. You just see it located down there. So it's tacked there, it's not tacked, it's very strong as super glue. There and there's bonded very strong with super glue. And then I just went around the whole model and just dropped normal glue into each joint. But it fits really well, it's not warped or twisted or anything like that. So it all goes together really easily. Well, it needs filling of course, I mean every seam's got some issue, but they're not difficult. I mean they're quite easy to deal with. That is actually a seam line I think where the camo goes to on that edge there. So all I need to do now, I might tidy that up first. You know, like there's some joins there I need dealing with, and then you just basically plug the nose on. The nose will need some work as well. Every joint that you put on this thing needs some work, particularly in there, which is going to be interesting to do. But it's not hard. I mean, it'll obviously need filling around this joint here. And then we've got the back end pod. Now this has to be very strong because that's where the stand is going to be. Please excuse the cat. So that's mates very tightly into those gaps there. It goes in quite easy when I'm not filming. Basically that does go in there. There we go, goes into there. Obviously that's all going to need filling and sorting out as well. But it needs to be strong because this is where any mounting point is going to be in the back of there. So the whole model will be suspended from that point on a stand. So there we go. So I'm going to get to the point where that's all tidied up and I'll glue these two parts on and we'll get back to that. Once that's done, it's a case of adding on all the bits that need putting on before I paint it, and then it all needs priming and filling and blah blah blah. And we'll go from there. Okay, progress made. The pod is on the back now. It's all glued on and faired up and painted. Well, not painted, but I've faired it in and filled it a little bit. I've put these little exhaust, these are extensions to the exhaust stacks. These are the exhaust stacks that go on there. They are handed and you have to make them quite a specific way. That goes on that side, I think. That goes on the back there. That exhaust kind of fires over here. It's kind of got an offset on it. So yeah, you have to make those up in a very specific way. And as with everything on this kit, it all fits okay, but it all needs sanding. Actually, that's on that side. There we go. So that goes on that bit is all silver or gunmetal or whatever. And it goes on there. So I'm not going to fit that yet because it needs painting a different colour. So I might as well make sure it fits and then put it on after it's been painted. So yeah, that's that bit. But everything needs sanding and fairing in, which is quite easy to do really, because there are panel lines on this and I'm trying to maintain the panel lines for the detail, but in the areas that you're sanding there aren't any, so it doesn't do any harm. So I've been this is 180 grit sandpaper, by the way, and I'm just sanding these in. It looks quite aggressive sandpaper, but it's fine. So you just go through it methodically, go around every seam, rough them in like that, and then go over it with, this is 1000 grit. I stick it in a bit of water actually. Oops, this was a bit over here. And then polish it back up with water. And it brings it back up lovely. So the principle is to do that all over the model. I've done the nose. The nose is all, it went on lovely, did the nose actually. It went a lot better than I thought, and I've faired in around these edges here. On the top and on the bottom, and it's yeah, the nose fits well. The whole kit is very good. I'm a lot more impressed with it than I thought I would be actually. I mean, nothing fits perfectly, but it fits adequately enough to be able to sand it up and then make it into a nice thing. And it's super strong. I mean, a really strong, solid piece of stuff, and it's a heavy beast as well. So I'm just going around it all now. I've added on some of the vents and things like that. What I did forget to do is there's some like I don't know what they are. I think they're like fuel dump things or something at the back here, little pieces of plastic that go there. And you're supposed to pre-drill those, and I forgot to do that, so I'm gonna have to guess where they go. But and then there's a metal plate that goes over there. I think it's some sort of early warning device or something. That needs going on there as well. What I've done with the Bombay, I'm not going to use this cover obviously because this is for the closed version, and I've just stuck a piece of wood on it so I can then put that in there like that. And when I paint it, I'll keep the paint out of the Bombay. Works quite well. So that's that. So I'm basically going over the model at the moment. I'm just tidying it all up, and it needs an initial coat of primer just to see where I stand with it. And anything I think that doesn't need filling won't get done, and if it needs filling it will. Need to put the fin on, need to get all the flying surfaces on. Air brakes need to be fitted in there. Anything that can be painted, the technical coat of primer will get put on first. I'm also going to do the canopy that needs painting black inside first, so I'm going to get to that point and I'll come back. Okay, basic airframe's now done. It's quite easy to make really. It's all very, it all fits quite well. You just have to fit a part and then fill it, because everything needs a little bit of filler just to kind of tidy it up. But it went quite well around these intakes. I'm quite happy with those intakes, much better than I thought they would have done. Everywhere's okay. It's not a difficult model to build at all. I've got the fin on and everything, all the control surfaces. Yeah, not to it really. It's heavy though. I've got to say, it's a lot of plastic in this thing. It's a chunk of plastic. But yeah, I'm happy with it. So what I need to do now is just mask off. I've fitted the windscreen obviously. I've painted it black on the inside, so you end up with a very shiny looking canopy that will always be like that. And I need to mask off what's left of the windows, because once it's painted there's not like a lot left. There's these little porthole windows at the side, and then there's a front windscreen. Tiny little window there, tiny little window there. Something here, I think these must be some sort of lights, I don't know what they are. I might actually, I'll mask them initially, but I don't know what they're supposed to be. Other than that, oh yeah, I've got to mask that window at the front there. I think that's for the bomb aimer to look out of or something. And that's it. And then I've got to do. And then I'm going to give it a coat of primer and then sand it all back and then see where it needs touching up on filler if it needs any. And at that point, then I need to decide what colour scheme to go with. Okay, I've just made some masks with my Cry Cut cutter, so quite easy. They're just circles out. I've masked out the front windows with normal masking tape. And just go in there like so. I mean, when they're in and it's been painted and everything, any excess paint that's in the wrong place can be just scratched out with a toothpick. Okay, first layer of primer's down, which is it's gone down really nice actually. It's highlighted a few little blemishes and things and stuff, so I'm just touching these up. That's a bit around here, around the canopy needs sorting out. A bit of a gap on the leading edge there. Just little tiny bits like that really. I'm putting in the. I mean, it's highlighted the panel line beautiful as this primer, but I'm actually reintroducing some of them. I know I don't like panel lines normally, but this particular model, I think it lends itself well to this. They're not bad panel lines really. And I looked at a few. Obviously, I looked at a lot of pictures of Vulcan bombers, and in some lights these show. At the end of the day, it's a representation of a Vulcan bomber, isn't it? In the 72nd scale. If it wasn't the panel lines on this, it'd look absolutely boring. It really would look dull because it's just a big mass of plastic, isn't it? And it's got a lot of potential under there for adding in oil stains and weathering marks and all sorts of things. Okay. Now I got a bit carried away building this thing. I forgot to film it. I've been working on the air intakes, trying to get in the video. There's air intakes there. Got them pretty smooth and quite nice actually. I wasn't sure how to mask inside there because behind that, the back of the air intake is still white, and then you've got camo inside there. Anyway, I put a few questions on Facebook and various things, and putting in the air intake covers that come with the kit seemed to be a reasonable compromise, so I've gone with that for now. I'm hoping they'll do the job. But yeah, and I've started painting the underside, having spent quite a lot of time priming the whole thing. It's a big model to paint, is this. Primed it to death, filled it, kept priming it, filled it, and I'm quite happy with the result of it now. It's I've got to say that I really enjoy building this kit. It's lovely. I think having no undercarriage on it helps considerably as well, because this is it. This is the finished product really. Other than putting the bombs in, this is all you get. So it's not that fragile really, apart from the refueling probe on the front. And having the toothbrush up the back end of it makes it easier to handle as well. I'm going to throw a picture up. I put a question on Facebook again from the Vulcan. There's a Vulcan group on Facebook asking about the finish of this particular aircraft, the Black Book versions. There were more than one of these. There were about 6 that were used in the conflict. Not all of them were used. Some had mechanical faults and some were used and stuff. And the 2 in the kit are 2 specific aircraft. One of them carries like specific anti-radar missiles, and the other one carries something else. I can't remember what it is, jamming stuff I think. I'm going to do the one with the missiles on, I think, because it looks quite different. The missiles came from America. They were a bit of a covert thing going on there. If you look at the history of it, it's quite interesting. And this colour underneath, well, the colour of the whole thing is a bit, I don't know, when you look at photographs of them, the grey looks considerably lighter than it recommends for any of the colours. And I'm thinking maybe this one, but it's not light enough in that. And then we've got this one, which is more like it, which really is almost the same colour as the actual primer. But this is probably a bit, I don't know, might be a bit too light. And that's why I've done the bottom first, because I wanted to see what the contrast is like between the 2 colours. And also I asked about the finish of the model and stuff. Is it weathered? Is it matte gloss or whatever? And this is from people that were actually there on the where these things were kept, and they saw them flying and everything. The bottom of the aircraft was painted quite hastily during the conflicts with a roller, so there'd be no weathering on that bottom of that aeroplane at all, apart from the odd oil leak and I don't know, dust I suppose. It won't have a lot of weathering on it at all. And again, the consensus is that they were matte. The whole thing was matte and not unweathered. So because they were, you know, until the conflict was there, they were well maintained normal aeroplanes. They weren't in constant conflict and stuff. So I can't weather it much because they weren't basically. But I'll try and add something to it to make it a little bit like a big massive, I don't know, tennis racket shaped blank thing, you know, because it's huge. The panel lines are lovely. The way Airfix have done them, you know, they're all really nice and everything, but if I filled those with panel liner and stuff, they'd look ridiculous because they don't look like that in reality. But I do want to show them a little bit because again, it's a very big lump of plastic that's very plain if you don't. But the bottom's more interesting than top in a lot of bits because it's got more going on. This is just the first coat to see what the colour's like, if I'm happy with it. I've got a darker colour, but I think that's way too dark. But I'll see. I haven't decided on the colours yet. I can change the colours at will, it doesn't really matter. And then when you're painting something this big, it's difficult to tell if you've done it all properly, and I've got some bits that I've missed on the back here and stuff. Okay, welcome back. Now it's had a second coat, which just covered it really nicely now, and I've given it a coat of lacquer, semi-gloss. I'm not sure what, it probably won't stay that, it's going to end up doing it matte, I think. As I say, pretty much the opinion from all the Vulcan people out there reckon these were matte all over. But yeah, I'm happy with that. I've taken the cover off the Bombay just to make sure it was alright. I don't actually worry about it in there anymore because if I get any overspray of clear paints in there, I don't care. It's alright. Yeah, so it just needs, before I actually finish, I'll do all the painting on the other side. It'll need masking now, but before I do any final preparation painting, it'll get a matte coat. I'll probably give it a little tickle with a sanding pad just to get any little lumps and bumps off it, but it's a bit premature yet. But, and I'll let it dry a bit more as well. But it's good enough now to start masking, so I need to mask for this side. Now what I've decided to do, as I've shown the pictures before, I reckon this primer grey is pretty much the right colour. When you look at the contrast between this top and this colour here, I think that's good enough for me, is that. So what I'm going to do is mask all the bottom off, and then I'll decant some of the Rattleton primer grey into an airbrush, and I can just tickle it up with an airbrush. I don't have to spray the whole thing with a rattle can, because it's a bit of a blunderbuss as a rattle can spray gun, and you know, it ends up, goes everywhere, and I don't want to, it doesn't need it everywhere because most of it's already done. So it just needs tickling up in areas that need finishing off. And again, when I've done that coat, I will then give it a coat of lacquer to seal that in, so I can then put the masking tape down for the camo itself. So yeah, it's going quite well. It uses an awful lot of paint though. I think I've gone through half a jar of satin just to paint that bottom. Forgot to mention, people often ask me what colours do I use and what paints do I use and stuff. For the bottom, I ended up using Ocean Grey number 2, which is RAF Grey, which is the stuff you'd use for the Second World War, like a Spitfire or something. That's the grey I'd used, and then you have the green to go with it. And then I've given that a sealed coat of LP24, which is semi-gloss clear. Both are I always thin with this stuff. I always use Mr. Colour Leveling Thinner. I know it's for lacquer paints, but it works fine in acrylics as well, so it does a good job, and I've never had any trouble with that. And I don't change paints now because I'm happy with what I've got. I just tend to stick with it. I know it works. Okay, all masked up, ready to go. Took about I don't know, it took a while to do that, especially around this area here. It's quite tricky. But yeah, all I need to do now is just, most of it's the right colour anyway. I'm just going to touch in the bits that I missed with primer grey, but I'm going to use it in the airbrush. Started masking. Quite a laborious task because there's a lot of area to do. Basically very thin strips to create the lines, the demarcation line, and then just fill in the gaps with tape in little tiny pieces. And yeah, I like doing this method. I know it's quite a long process, but it seems to work alright for me. So it's just a case of plodding through the whole thing. So I'll be back. still going with the masking process. Just thought I'd have a little bit of input on this. I know this is a very slow process. Just the way I'm doing it is, you can do it in many ways. You could brush paint it. Don't do that anymore. I haven't done that since I was probably 8. No, probably 16. Or you could hand spray it, you know, just go for it. You could get pre-cut masks. Now that would work well. You know, you could get some commercially pre-cut masks for this model, I'm sure. But I don't have any of those. I don't know how good they are, I've never used any. Please excuse the cat, she's deaf. You could draw on it with a pencil and then what have you. I tend to find with pencils though, it leaves a mark and it doesn't go away, so it doesn't work for me. Or you could put the tape on and cut it, or you could do all sorts of things. But this is a 1/72 scale model, and at this scale, these lines, these demarcation lines, would look pretty sharp. They are painted, according to people I've spoken to on forums about Vulcans and stuff. Most big aircraft, especially the Cold War stuff, were painted with a roller. The one on this particular aircraft is definitely painted with a roller underneath, but on the top here, it was sprayed. Now I'm assuming, I think they used big mats that were like pre-cut. So they'll drop a mat on and then they'd spray over that as a line. So most of the lines are sharp on it, but you will get some little bits that are a bit fuzzy around the edges. But I think at this scale, these lines need to look pretty sharp and accurate. Now you could use putty to do it. You could use blue tack, which I've used quite a lot, or white tack even. I think I've got a bit of line there. All sorts of things, but what I'm doing now is using pre-cut Tamiya tape. I cut it into little tiny pieces. I know for a fact there's a bit of paint showing, I don't want to lie. And I think, well, I know this is the best way of getting a super sharp line. The downside to it is it takes time. Now I put pictures and things on, I put pictures on forums and stuff like that, and people are always obsessed. I don't understand it. Oh, it's quicker to do it like this, it's quicker to do it like whatever, and I don't get why people care about how long something takes. Alright, if there's a quicker way of doing something, I get with that, but it doesn't give you the same result. And all that matters when I build model aeroplanes, or any model, is the finished result matters, because that's all you've got at the end of it. That's what it's all about. And if you're making models, you're in a luxurious position where you do have time to do whatever you want. And time to me is something I have plenty of. And I've got less than I want because I have to work at the moment, but when I retire I'll have even more. So why is it a rush? Why is there a big panic about, oh, you do it like that, it's too slow? I don't care. All I care about is this camo looking good when I take the tape off. So no, it's not a rant, it's just an observation I see with people. And they'll sacrifice quality for a bit of time, and I don't get it. It's just pointless. You might as well throw your bin at your modelling. Why bother building it then? Just, what are you going to do when you finished it? You just go buy another kit and you'll build that one. It doesn't matter if you're building this kit or another one. The amount of time involved is irrelevant. And it's, so you need to learn a bit of patience. And because if there's one thing I know when building model aeroplanes now is, if you don't paint them right, they won't look right. And the finish is paramount. You can spend as much time as you like gluing stuff to things, but if you don't paint it properly, you're wasting your time. And this is everything with this model game. It's getting a good finish, getting a good result of this sort of thing. So anyway, that's my little observation while I keep doing this. I don't know how long I've been doing this. I've been doing it for hours, and it's quite a big model as this. That's why it's taking so long, because there's a lot of space on this model. I quite like doing it though. It's quite therapeutic. It doesn't bother me. So yeah, the end result should be good. So I'll be back when I've done it all. How long that's going to be, I don't know. Okay, all masked up. That's taken an embarrassingly long time to do. But I don't know. Well, I think that should go alright. I've copied the pattern off the Airfix plan basically, which is as good as I think. It's near enough. They do vary a little bit from each aircraft to aircraft, so, but it's not far off. I think I've done reasonably well with that. Quite enjoyed doing it. It is very time consuming now, so let's hope that works out okay. So now it's time to paint it. Just checking it, so you've just got to make sure you haven't missed any little bits, but you're inevitably going to get bits of overspray, but I try and keep that at a minimum. Overspray's for losers, I think. But we're going to get some, I'm sure of it. I'm going to use the green, which is dark green RF81. I think that's a good match. That should be, it's the right colour. This is the colour that's a bit, it's not the colour that Airfix say it is, that's for sure, when you look at the black book one. So let's get some paint on it and see how we go. Look at that, eh? That looks like a tiger. Now what I've done, I've gone around all the edges, very light paint, almost dry, just to seal the edges so that you don't get any run underneath the tape. Very important not to flood this sort of thing when you're doing it. Obviously with the panel lines that this kit's got as well, they could creep under the lines quite easily, so I've done it very dry, just to seal them. So now I've done that, I can then fill in all the boxes. So I quite like that colour scheme, that's cool, isn't it? Look at that. It glows in dark. I quite like that, psychedelic, man. Okay, all done. Took quite a while actually, and quite a lot of paint. Big model, innit? I just need to take the tape off now, which I'm not going to film because it takes so long. And I'll reveal it when I've finished doing that. Let's hope we don't have any overspray. I'm suspecting it's going to need some touch-ups inside here quite a lot, really. You never know, it might have gone really well, but I'm not convinced, but we shall see. Okay, masking tape's off. Pretty impressed actually, I'm very happy with it. Very minimal overspray. I gave it a coat of semi-gloss lacquer. I always do that just to kind of seal it all in and stuff, and I give it a very gentle sand just to take any lumpy bits off, but not much. I can't show it all in one go because it won't fit on me, it doesn't fit in the view, but I'm quite happy with the colours. They're just if I look at examples of real ones, this is maybe a little bit light, but I don't know, I think it's okay. But the top's perfect. I'm very happy with these colours. I think they're just spot on. So the next job now, it's quite smooth now because, as I say, it's got a semi-gloss on it, so it needs the decals putting on. And I'm desperate to get a matte coat on just to see how it looks with a matte coat on it. And then I want to do some very gentle weathering bits of I don't know, oil staining and things like that. So it was an operational aircraft, was this one, so it's not going to be immaculate, is it? And I'm keen to get the masks off to see how the canopy looks. Okay, decals are on, and I've given it a good lacquer. It's got a whole jar of lacquer on it. I nearly gassed myself spraying it for so long. Even though I've got a spray booth and everything, it's still the whole room was just full of vapours. It were horrendous. Yeah, a whole jar on there. I did try spraying it with a matte varnish, and there was something wrong with it, and it started to put little white dots of speckles all over it. I think the jar's been a bit old or something. So it was a bit of a disaster, and I had to kind of get it off, and it wasn't good. So I thought, well, I'll just go with it. I've only got a gloss varnish left, so I thought, well, I'll just do it with some gloss varnish. And I quite like it now. And I've started doing my usual with it, and I've started polishing it up. So it's quite a nice finish on it, actually. It's quite shiny. It brings out the panel lines quite natural without putting anything in them. So I think I'm going to keep it like this, because to spray it matte would be a bit sacrilege, really. It wouldn't look, I don't think it'd look as good. So I'll just keep it clean, and I mean this aircraft was used after the Falkland as well. I mean, if you look at the decal sheet, it does say on the decals actually. So you can see this is decal 52, post Falklands August 82. So some of the decals went on afterwards. because they didn't put them on during the actual conflict. I don't think it'd have been glossy either, but there's a restored version of the one I'm making now that is, I'll put a picture of it already, I'll put it on again, XM607. It's restored and it's in a museum somewhere. And that is super shiny, is that thing. It's like brand new. So I don't know, I'll just do it like that, I think, because it's so much. I don't know. I don't think this model suits what I'm doing with it and where I'm displaying everything. Probably doesn't suit like a grubby looking Vulcan bomber. I don't think it does. Anyway, it's not going to be like that. I've made an executive decision. So I'll probably leave the bomb bay empty because they don't put bombs in non-military aircraft. In fact, there aren't any flying Vulcans anymore anyway, so it's irrelevant. I quite like the bomb bay empty. It looks alright. But yeah, I need to still do quite a lot of work on this. I need to add some more decals yet, so the decals need to go on the fin. And there's a few more little tiny decals and stuff. And then it needs a bit more lacquer on it, of course. And then it all needs polishing underneath. The whole bottom needs doing. I think it looks shiny, but it's not shiny properly. It's just paint shiny. And that's not how shiny it should be. That needs cutting back, flattening back, and then polishing up, and then it'll look like this does, which is kind of, I don't know how to describe it, smooth with no lumps or bumps in it. It's a nice finish, so I'm quite pleased with that. I think these exhaust pipes putting on, the front end was polished, but I've slapped it back again, so I'm happy with it. I have actually got the masks off the canopy now. I'm really happy with that. Honestly, anybody building this thing, don't bother putting the cockpit in it. It's pointless. You can, I mean, obviously, it's not, it's your model, do what you like with it, but I think that looks perfectly okay myself. That's just blacked out, and I think it looks good. If you're doing it on the ground, even then on the ground, I don't know, could you see anything? You might be able to see something a little bit through that door. I don't know. Yeah, it's coming to an end now as this build. I've really enjoyed building this. It's a really nice model. It's blooming big though, and it's anybody building one needs to consider where you're going to put it, because it is a big thing. It won't fit in your average display cabinet. This one I will make a stand for it, and it's got to be tall enough to be able to turn the model horizontally, 90 degrees I suppose, so the wings clear the ground, so I can turn it right around like this. But I have considered also just kind of plugging it into the wall somewhere in this room, so I can just kind of get it out of the way. So we'll see. Anyway, it's coming on. So next stage, I get the decals on and then finish off painting it. And it's nearly done then. Just got to get the engine nacelles on, make the stand, and that's it really. So yeah, nearly done.